Looks like we've got most everyone online for the webinar this afternoon. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar on how to deliver a seamless shopping cart experience from your first purchase to your customer's doorstep. We're joined by a great group of panelists today. My name is Kelly Horton. I am on the marketing team here at ShipHawk, and I'll let everybody kind of do a little further introduction each before we jump into things, but we've brought this great group together to really share the full perspective on how SuiteCommerce and ShipHawk can help you implement this seamless end-to-end process, as well as hear from one of our joint customers and the process they went through and the benefits they've experienced. I'm joined by Nibesh Mokhtan, our head of product here at ShipHawk, along with Barry Irwin from NetSuite, and most importantly, our friends from Springfield Leather, who are using these solutions every day. Before we meet our host, I want to touch on a few housekeeping items. We will be recording the webinar and we'll send an email out within about 24 hours with a link to watch it on demand. We do want you to join in the conversation. Feel free to use the Q&A widget to ask any questions. We'll try to get to as many of those as possible, but if we don't get to your question before the end of the call today, we'll definitely follow up with you after the event. We'll try to answer some of those during the conversation, as well as save some time at the end to answer any other questions that come in. If you need any support or have technical questions, please email us at learnmore@shiphawk.com. And lastly, tell us what you think. There'll be a short survey that pops up at the end of the webinar today. We'd love your feedback on the content, on the format. Just tell us how it went for you. Before I hand it over to Nibesh for our panel introductions, I do want to do a quick poll for everyone so we can learn a little bit about who our audience is today. So I'm going to pop this up on the screen. We want to know if any of you are already leveraging SuiteCommerce in your daily operations. So just take a few minutes to fill that in. And while everybody's submitting their answers, I do have a fun promo I wanted to share since we're joined by our friends from NetSuite today. ShipHawk has given away an all expenses paid trip to Sweet World this year in Las Vegas. We did the same giveaway last year, and the free trip went to our customer, Jeffrey from On Deck Sports. And it was really exciting because last year Sweet World did sell out. So these tickets were hard to come by. To enter to win, I'll paste the link to the registration page in the chat shortly, or you can just use the QR code shown here on your screen. All you need to do is schedule a time with one of our team members where we'd love to get your feedback on the webinar and learn some details on your fulfillment and warehouse management process. So like I said, Sweet World did sell out last year, so I'm sure that's likely to happen again. So be sure to enter to win as soon as possible. The winner will be announced on September 12th, so just check back in. Now it looks like everyone has submitted their responses. If not, go ahead and submit those now. And let's see what kind of responses we've got. Can everyone see the survey responses on their screen? Looks like so. Okay, great. So it looks like we've got a good split. Who's leveraging SuiteCommerce? It looks like about half and half. So I think that's a really good group to have this conversation today. We can learn from those that have, already, gone through this process, as well as, those that might be thinking about it. And hopefully everybody can walk away and take a few, action items back to the team after today's event. And with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Nibesh to take things over.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. I definitely hope that we can get to choose one of the customers from today's attendees for the Las Vegas trip. So let's see. Hi, my name is Nibesh. I am head of product here at ShipHawk. I've been here with ShipHawk for about maybe 4 years now, and I have a background in integrations and system integrations and engineering prior to working in product. And we have Anthony from Springfield Leather today joining us, and then Barry from NetSuite. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Anthony?
Yeah, so my name is Anthony Williams. I work at Springfield Leather Company, and my official titles that are on there are the digital media coordinator and also the webmaster. I've been with the company since 2018.
Erwin, I am with NetSuite. I've been at NetSuite for 9 years now, and the entire time I've been a SME with SuiteCommerce products. Prior to NetSuite, I was a web developer as well. So I'll be chiming in throughout the day when I can.
Awesome. So I thought it would be, useful for all of our attendees to talk about. So first, in the first section, we're gonna briefly talk about the emerging market trends and the challenges customers like Springfield Leather faces, especially being an e-commerce company. Then we're gonna briefly touch on the implementation and the experience with NetSuite ShipHawk SuiteCommerce and how that went, and the implementation experience of that. And then we're going to talk about the future stuff in where the e-commerce industry is headed, how companies like us, ShipHawk and NetSuite, are investing into the future, and where the industry is going. I want to start with Anthony, and we want to learn a little bit about your business. Could you tell us a little bit about Springfield Leather and the story behind your business?
Yeah, for sure. We're a family-owned and operated business here in Springfield, Missouri. We started in 1999. So our founder worked for a different company that was filing bankruptcy, and he asked that he'd be able to purchase the business from them, and they said okay. And now they have come back out of their bankruptcy, and now we are actually a competitor with them. So we have just one location here in Springfield with a warehouse also here in town. Leathercraft is kind of a niche type of industry. We have about 20,000 SKUs at any given time. And then on our forward-facing website, there's about 8,300 between inventory items, assembly items, matrix items that all kind of live in there. Before we switched to NetSuite as our ERP, we used probably more along the line of a gas station build software. It was not very good for what we really needed to have, and we were growing extremely fast. So in order to keep that volume, we turned to NetSuite to help with our efficiency, and then our shipping processes, data integration. So then that's kind of where we ended up. And then within the last year or so, we have met with ShipHawk. So we'll leave it there, and I'll leave the rest of that for a little bit later.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. 20,000 SKUs is definitely a lot. And especially if you're, I was looking through your website, a lot of things seem to be made to order. So yeah, that's definitely a complicated operation there. What are the things, so especially prior to your relationship with NetSuite and ShipHawk, what are the challenges were you facing as a growing e-commerce company? What issues were you having before?
So I'd say around the 1999 era was a lot of where the e-commerce really started to build. And our founder is an older gentleman into his 70s now, and the e-commerce and just the whole e-platforms website stuff is not something that he is really up to speed on. So when inventory comes in the door, he was ready just to send it out, and didn't really want to track that inventory, didn't really care about tracking the inventory, just wanted to get stuff into clients, into customers' hands. And so you can see how that may have caused some sort of issues that we would have of reporting all of that stuff and being able to say, where all that inventory is going and what we need to have that inventory. So getting in with NetSuite really kind of in some of the builds that they have that are no longer there. We started in SuiteCommerce Advanced, And we kind of just were flying blind at first. And then once I started to help and take over, leveraging some of the advanced customer service that they have and being able to utilize our account managers to help us with that flow of what we need to do and how we need to build our items, it has really helped out using matrix items to kind of group things together better. Part of the other problem was the shipping part, and there's a lot of other solutions out there for shipping, but there was pain points of where we would send that order from NetSuite to our previous shipping provider that it took about 30 minutes for that information to go into that system. And you can imagine if we have a hot order or a rush order that happens at 4:30 and we got to wait 30 minutes, or maybe it happens at 4:45 and our last truck from FedEx or UPS or whatever would be here at 5, and now we have to wait, and we can't really hold them up. They're not wanting to hold up, and now that rush order is taking another day. And that was kind of a pain point of why we even started investigating another type of area. Springfield Leather, we do B2C and also B2B selling. So that was another main reason why we kind of switched to NetSuite and be able to house it. And we house all of it into one e-commerce platform, which is SuiteCommerce Standard now instead of Advanced.
Yeah, that's very consistent with what we've heard from our customer base as well. One of the most primary challenges that customers face is dealing with multiple systems, because there's not a single system that can do checkout experience, inventory management, shipping, label printing, the whole thing. And yeah, the biggest issue that our customers face when they first come to us is also handling multiple systems, handling data flow between them. You mentioned orders could take up to 30 minutes in some cases, and that really adds up in some cases, especially you mentioned hot orders, especially in cases like that too. Barry, from your perspective, from NetSuite perspective, what are the problems that customers come to you with that needs resolving?
One of the bigger things today, and we've been seeing this for a while now, but it's bigger than ever, is omni-channel. Having a site for B2C customers, maybe using, Shopify, then having a site for B2B customers that's homegrown, having a mobile app, having a possible storefront, even having marketplaces on, Amazon or things like that. Getting those all into one single system is really a big player these days. As Anthony mentioned, moving from B2C to B2B or bringing in B2B to have both. That is another big one. And then lastly, as everyone who shops online probably knows, is the changing rooms at stores are now turning into your living rooms or your bedrooms, where you might be ordering three sizes of one, article of clothing, getting them all, trying on, finding the one that fits, and then sending them all back. So return rates are very high in retail these days.
Yeah, definitely. Expectations are set by the giants, 2-day prime delivery and a lot of different things. And the rest of the industry has to catch up with that if you're not working with the giants. So definitely the end customer's expectation ultimately affects the operations and the challenges that customers like Springfield Leather faces. So shifting a little bit about the end customer's experience, how have you seen that expectation shift over the years, Anthony? Like, do people expect different things from your checkout experience or fulfillment experience?
So one of the things that we kind of really first pushed from when we went live is on the website is trying to make it as quick a checkout as we can for the customer and easy and painless as possible. And so having that B2B and B2C all on one website for us to try to manage just that one site, we leverage pricing levels and use pricing levels. And so when customers log in, they're set at a price level and they're able to see what their price is, and maybe varied by somebody that doesn't have an account or is not set at a price level, what discount they are kind of getting there, to see how we really help give back to the companies and businesses as opposed to the customer side of it. So their expectations were really pretty high on that. Everybody's always wanting the cheapest option whenever you're up against the big names that are giving free 2-day. When we went back and forth, where do we offer free shipping ourselves and roll it into our price of the item? And we chose for the other part to be a little more transparent of what your item you're paying for, and also those real-time costs that you're getting. ShipHawk is very good at being able to give that real-time feel and setting up rules that would guide the customer of what they can choose and what they can't choose.
Yeah, very. You mentioned omni-channel is being a big part because there's too many customer touch points from too many different channels, right? Any other aspects that you've seen in terms of shifting customer expectations?
Yeah, really, the focus the last couple of years has really moved to customer self-service. So the market is really dictating that shoppers want to be able to log into a My Account, see their order history, possibly reorder items or orders, save for later shopping. And the big thing there is returns and even paying bills. So on the B2B side, if you're invoicing your customers, having the ability to log in, see my open invoices, see if I have any credit memos that I can apply to them, and then make the payments there. And then lastly, with the self-service is support. If I have a question on shipping or product, how easily can I talk to someone? And so putting this all in the customer's hands takes a lot off of your internal team, and also increases customer satisfaction because they're able to kind of do it themselves quickly.
Yeah, we've definitely seen like very similar trends on our end as well. One of the things that is super important these days is very extensive tracking, branded tracking pages, and constant updates. Information is at a fingertip right now for everyone, and they want to know exactly where the package is, when it's coming. And a part of that includes when we're setting that expectation at checkout, having accurate data, whether or not that inventory is readily available before making that promise of delivery for the customer and things like that. And then one of the things that we've invested in is that real-time visibility, working with SuiteCommerce and NetSuite at the same time. ShipHawk leverages real-time visibility of inventory so that we can set the right expectations, set the right shipping costs at the checkout, so that people are not surprised. Nobody likes to be surprised, or they don't want to wait 2 more days. So yeah, that's definitely very, very consistent with the things that we've been seeing. And then one of the other things our customers that we've seen in terms of challenges also, historically, shipping has always been seen as a cost center. It's not, people just think, oh yeah, it's just going to cost how much ever, and they don't really dig in enough to see, can we save it? Can we turn it into a profit center? Can we leverage that to increase the customer experience and enhance that? So, and people also don't really have data around that too. They just, use carriers and just make shipments, and there's not much visibility around that. But I've seen a lot of customers shifting that, and in some cases, our customers are using shipping as a profit center now. For if someone's using expedited shipping, by leveraging our technology, they're able to even turn it into a profit center. So that's been interesting in the recent days. Cool. So we've talked about challenges a little bit. I want to shift gears and talk about implementing systems and systematizing things. From like Anthony mentioned, a lot of business owners, they actually care about the product and the customer. Systematizing things is not really the main focus first. It's almost done at a point where it's sometimes too late in some cases. I want to talk about that a little bit. Anthony, how was your I guess we talked about the challenges a little bit. What was the reason behind selecting the combination of NetSuite, SuiteCommerce, and ShipHawk specifically What were you must have looked at other solutions too, like what were your reasons behind that?
So some of the main reasons behind it were that NetSuite itself is very customizable. You can have custom fields, you can have custom records. There's all sorts of things that you can make, and there's a lot of place to house data on certain record items, and it may just show up on those record forms that you create for it. So that was one of the kind of the main reasons why we went to NetSuite. And as we have kind of seen, NetSuite itself has grown now into Oracle NetSuite and just continues to grow, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And the amount of knowledge that they just possess there that we can push back on, and the support that they have, pretty knowledgeable. Once you get into the advanced customer support, somebody's going to know where to push somebody to help you with what you need. Somebody has probably seen it before, and there's just a lot of information that's out for it. Kind of what we went back before is, we have 20,000 SKUs, and when we were making the SKUs, if you don't build your item correctly and get all the data points in there for your front-facing SuiteCommerce site using filters and things like that, now we're finding where some of the data we probably should have been collecting, measurement size of it. Leather's a little bit different than, say, a bottle of toothpaste or a chapstick bottle. It's a little bit different. We have to size leather because we sell our leather in different cuts, or you can just buy a square foot of something, a 2 square foot of something. So our measurements of our stuff kind of vary quite a bit, but we are able to pick some sort of measurements to get them in some sort of box to where when we pass it to ShipHawk and choosing to use ShipHawk, where it's selecting a box where we can do that shipping calculation on the box size as well. Maybe a 4x4x48 is going to be a little bit more than, a 12x12x12, something along those type of things, as well as the weight of it. So we needed to set up our data a little bit better. And for a founder that wants to just bring inventory in and ship it back out and not really get that part of it, making the items, and for us, item creation on our side takes a little bit because it jumps through quite a few people's hands, but making sure that we get those data points in there so that now we can pass those to ShipHawk with the rules that we can create seamlessly. If something flammable, now we're not going to send it in the air, we're going to send it on the ground, and those 2 days, next days are not going to be available for the front-facing customer because we have that rule set up within ShipHawk. Or those weight measurements are not going to let them ship certain ways. And then now we even go to a region standpoint to where we can better calculate our data that's brought in from ShipHawk, that we can judge what those are. Are we making it the best for the customer, the best pricing for the customer, or adjust our rates just a little bit better to where, yes, we are still making a little bit of money to pay for our boxes, pay for the employee, and pay for the shipping price, where it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. There's a lot of work that goes into setting up different things, and a lot of things you don't even know that you could optimize before you have the tools in place.
Like for Amazon or other websites that you have those filters on the side and they show up and you want to pick something that's just blue, or you just want to see something that measures that stuff doesn't just show up because it just shows up. Somebody is on the other end of it, typing it all in.
Yeah, definitely. Barry, from your end, what's your approach when you first onboard a customer? There's a lot of work that goes in the background to set things up, and a lot of education that goes in. What's your approach in implementations and onboarding?
Yeah, so we have a process or a service for implementation called Suite Success for Commerce. So, those of you that are familiar with implementation have probably heard of Suite Success. You may have even done it for the ERP side or commerce itself. Basically, it's our team is taking our 25 years of knowledge of setting up customers and building it into an out-of-box best practice. So this all comes in a one-time activation cost. We strive for a 30-day go live. And then we even look at a phased approach too, where we might just get your site up and running how you want it initially, and then add things to it as we go. And so there is some work on the customer side as far as getting items set up, categories, if you don't already have that set up in ERP. But we're there to guide you along the way, and it's completely baked out. And you're instructed, how to do it as we go.
Yeah, we at ShipHawk, it's really important. After like a few years, we learned that people don't know what they don't know, and sharing knowledge and that expertise and guiding the process is equally as important as the tool that you're providing. So we also pride ourselves as providing a white glove implementation experience. So our solution engineers go in and talk with customers about, okay, where we look at the end-to-end order workflow all the way from e-commerce to returns. And then we figure out, okay, so what is the best way to make changes to these available tools so that it works for you, instead of just sending out a tool and, okay, it's now figure it out. And that has been really important for our customers as well, because it's a partnership. Over time, things change, even during implementation. There's new SKUs, and you implement a new thing. Maybe you add a new warehouse, your business grows and the requirements grow. And it's really important for the partnership aspect of like something like an ERP system or your fulfillment system is super important, as much as the tool itself. Speaking of, so Anthony, how have you? I want to touch a little bit on the experience of these different systems. So there's you have your website built out in SuiteCommerce Advanced. You're using NetSuite for your backend administration. You're using ShipHawk for fulfillment. You're also using ShipHawk for rating. How all of those systems come together to you? Like, what is that experience like for you?
So I'm going to go back a little bit and touch a little bit on Barry's part of the Suite Success thing, because we've gone through it twice now. So when we did SuiteCommerce Advanced, very early on, 2015 area is our first experience. I wasn't with the company then, so I can't speak on it, but I did do the new website rebuild in 2018, and you have a dedicated person that is helping you set everything up. And now this joint effort between ShipHawk and those people that are helping you set it up have the knowledge of some of the best tools that you can use, and it's built out of things like this, where the education is out there and they're helping you set everything up together. And it was fairly painless. If you're not paying by meetings, you'll have probably like a meeting every week. If you're not paying by those type of meetings, it's going to be great. And you're going to be educated and you're going to be able to use everything really pretty well. So the seamless integration with ShipHawk, I think, is where you were at, right, Nabesh?
Yeah. I wanted to learn about, different systems and how those things come together for you.
So where we were at in kind of NetSuite, we were already in a point of inputting more data, because we just didn't have it there. We didn't know what we didn't know. We didn't know that we needed more data. When we found out that we did, we started importing, and we're still importing that data. So one of the cool things I feel like for us is that we were probably pretty close to the early ages of ShipHawk coming in with NetSuite and really making a push to be the leader in the shipping fulfillment area. And so we worked really great with our account manager, Allison, and were able to send stuff through there. And there was a level that was gained of trust between us with them, and then them back with us, that we're able to. One of the things that we've always done as a business is, how do we want to help our vendors be a better vendor? And in turn, they're going to be a better vendor for us. And that's just being a good human and running a business in a good way, and just treating others with respect. And so the integration and the seamlessness that it took from there was really pretty smooth. We got data into ShipHawk, learned about what those API pushes were going to be and what we needed to have through their UI, which is very functional, very user-friendly about what you need to know. And now, so we can go in there and we can set a single item SKU and say, hey, this is a rule that we need to put on just this alone, and we're not going to send it there, or this is how you need to rate it. We also sell digital downloads for it when it's on an order with something else that does push to ShipHawk. So we have to create a rule to make it not rate that, because the digital download itself is something that's still pretty new, not so much new to NetSuite, but it's not a lot of customers I don't feel that are using it as much as maybe we do, as they have switched to maybe a subscription base of things. Barry can talk a little bit about that, but the download part of it, we sell patterns where people would be able to build a tote bag out of it. So we had to find some points of why it wasn't working, contacted ShipHawk, and they're like, hey, here's what you need to do. The processing speed of it, we talked a little bit about before, it was like it took 30 minutes for it to happen. Now we can have one of our customer service people on the phone type something up. They print the picking ticket out. They take it back and it's a hot order. They can pull it themselves. Somebody else can pull it and they hand it to somebody that's in fulfillment and shipping, and they can pull the order up and they can ship it right then. Before it was, we had to manually type the data in, sync it back to NetSuite, and make sure that that order fulfillment from the shipping processor linked back to the item fulfillment that is created inside of NetSuite. So we forget that step, and then maybe we send it out again when it does load into it the next day. Somebody, oh, we need to send this out as a hot order. Now we ship it to them twice. You can see that that's probably not very cost effective for a business to run successfully over time.
Yeah, it's especially if there's an error or if you need to redo something that
Yeah.
takes a lot of like your attention and energy away. Yeah, thank you for sharing that experience. Barry, on your end, how are you enabling this seamlessness? Obviously, it's a module within NetSuite. SuiteCommerce is a module within NetSuite. How does these two systems work, and what's your approach there?
Yeah, so the way I like to explain it is SuiteCommerce is built right on top of NetSuite ERP. So it's essentially a view into NetSuite ERP, but from a shopping perspective. So you're only going to see the items and orders that you need to see. And we do that because SuiteCommerce is an external website that can sit and live on your domain. We do that through a couple APIs. We have a commerce API that handles all the security. So transmitting the order, housing your credit card information, anything like that. And that is what is PCI compliant. So, that is the level 1 PCI compliance there. We also have an item search API that allows you to add a field to the item record and then show that field on the shopping page, on the product details page. So those are the two main APIs that allow SuiteCommerce to work. And it's all real time. The second your shopper hits submit on the commerce checkout, you will be able to go into NetSuite ERP and find that order either under the customer. If you knew the order number, you could type it into the global search. It would be there immediately. So as soon as that submit button is hit, it's going to take any approval processes that you may have, any fulfillment processes, it'll kick off automatically. And then, outside of that, we have the SuiteScript API that you can use in ERP. We also have an extensibility API that allows you to customize NetSuite yourself. Or SuiteCommerce, I should say. So if you have, a developer or a person that knows HTML, they know JavaScript, you can actually build your own extensions and install them into the site yourself on the front end.
Yeah, ShipHawk also leveraged that extension functionality actually for SCA. And so we already had a partnership with NetSuite. We have a very deep integration for about 5 years now. And we have our own bundle. And we thought, okay, there's this other e-commerce system. Instead of building and creating a whole different administration and integration experience with SCA, just like we have with Shopify or other systems, we decided we would bake it into the existing integration. So as soon as someone checks out, it from SCA, it comes back to NetSuite. You can see the sales order. Similarly, you can immediately see that sales order in ShipHawk as well, like within a matter of seconds. And we've utilized that extension functionality. We've created our own scripts and baked it into the SCA. Anthony, in terms of the cart customizations or the functionalities that you loved the most in this ecosystem of systems, what are the things that you utilized the most or have found the most value?
So really for us on the cart side of it, where where the ShipHawk integration lives on the SuiteCommerce Advanced side, or even SuiteCommerce Standard. Like I said, we use SuiteCommerce Standard. There is a little bit of differences between the API extensibility, but it has been written pretty well that where the ShipHawk was the same integration in SCA as it was for SCS. We had done a little bit of work with the developer that helped develop the SuiteCommerce side of it. So we had actually reached out to, there's some developers that are very good and top level, and NetSuite also does a good job of letting people know who they are so that their product is going to be successful for you. But we use masking our carrier. So before, when you went into the shopping cart and you went to go check out, you would have a drop-down menu of about 9 to 10 shipping carriers that you could pick from. And it went back and forth between whether you're using USPS, whether you're using DHL, UPS, FedEx. You had all these options, and then you had 2-day, 3-day, ground, flat rate, whatever. You could pick all these options. Here's where the issue came in with that. We sell sewing machines. First class mail can only go to 15.999 ounces, right? But you could still put a first class shipping option on a sewing machine. And so now you're paying pennies on it. And now we had to contact the customer again. So we set up a rule on the weight side of it to where that was not allowable anymore. And there was a question that was kind of in there about some of the rules that we use. So I think this is a good time to cover some of those as well. So masking the carrier. So now you just know whether you're getting a ground, whether you're getting next day, whether you're getting 2-day. And then for us on our rating side of it, where we get our quotes for our shipping, where we purchase our shipping that lives inside of ShipHawk, who we're buying our postage from, we can leverage against what our rates are on that side of it to pass it back to the customer. And so they're picking a 2-day, they're not picking a carrier. One of the things that we're working on or trying to get is to where a customer can make a preference on their side to say, I just want FedEx to be my carrier. I don't want prices from UPS. I don't want prices from USPS. We have some pretty rural customers in our business, and they live way up in the mountains. And USPS, they don't have a mailbox, and they don't have a post office that's close to them. The closest post office may be 30 miles away, and now they have to drive to it. So we are trying to get another rule type set up for that, or what could happen, an option that we can pass back to ShipHawk from there to kind of cover that area. Some of the other rules that we use would be, as far as, most of it's just weights. Most of it is a lot of weights, just because of the way that our product is shaped. One of the big ones that I think everybody would use is the flammability part of it. And then so that's kind of the main ones that we really use. It's not, there's more rules that are in there. They just don't really pertain to our business kind of at this moment.
Yeah, that is consistent with some of our other customers as well. I think the most popular rule in our rules engine is probably use this carrier or don't use this carrier, or use a 2-day service or don't. You know, those are the most popular rules, and probably like thousands of them in our system, where everyone has a preference. Like you said, someone doesn't want USPS because they had a bad experience, or someone wants USPS because, you know, it's like convenient for them. And then there's, I think that after that, the most popular rules that we have on our end is the packing rules. Use this box or don't use this box, or include this type of packing slip and things like that. That's great. So have you had any, after implementing all of these systems, putting in all of that work, that's a lot, what was the output of it? How did you, do you have anything to share about the improvements that you've seen after you've done all of this work and implemented all of these systems?
So one of the biggest things for us is how many packages we are sending out. And why does that matter? Because we already know how many packages we're bringing in. One of the cool things with ShipHawk, and we've talked about it, is within seconds, real-time reporting of how many orders we've put into ShipHawk. And so they can tell us we've had 1,000 orders that are made this week, and we only shipped out 800. Now there's a negative balance somewhere, and I need to get somebody else back into item fulfillment so we can be able to ship out another 200 items. Maybe it's our processes are wrong. And so it's helping us develop more lean processes that we can have in our manufacturing type of business, of how we can fix that problem on our end. And you wouldn't even think that may be something that your shipping carrier could do for you, is you're not fulfilling orders as you should be, or now you're fulfilling more and you're fulfilling more than what you're bringing in. Now maybe your marketing team needs to step up their act, and just taking that information that they have. We also have an inmate business, and so they need to know exact numbers on what shipping costs them and what shipping costs us. They want to know what that is. The inmate business is far more information than I could probably give in this webinar, but there is all that data points that are just there that you can give back to a customer, a government type of standpoint, a larger business type of standpoint, that they want to have those type of information and easily give it to them.
Yeah, visibility and data has definitely come up a lot. ShipHawk's making a lot of investments in data and storage and custom reporting and things like that. Some of our customers have used the data to even renegotiate with carriers, looking at, hey, like here was your delivery promise, and you only delivered this many, this percent.
We've done it twice already.
Done that. Yeah, data definitely empowers everyone, right? Like having that visibility and access to that data is super important. I want to switch gears now. We talked about the problems, we talked about the solutions. I want to talk a little bit about things, the future a little bit. I'll start with Barry on this one. Where do you think the market's headed? Where is it going, and how is NetSuite preparing for it? What kind of investments are you making, looking at 1 year, 2 year, 5 year out?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit earlier about the self-service, and one of the things we're doing there within the My Account functionality is adding the ability to manage subscriptions. It seems like even products companies today can find ways to do subscriptions. So being able to handle that within the My Account, so that a user can come in and turn off auto renew or up their subscription, whatever that might be, as more of the self-service. And then on the B2B side, also mentioned earlier, more and more customers are looking to do B2B as well. So adding in more functionality there, and just trying to keep up with e-commerce world in general. For example, 3D Secure Checkout just released their new version of checkout. So making sure that SuiteCommerce is compatible with that through all of our payment gateways. On the B2C side, making sure that our promotions engine can handle all of the complex promotions that are being offered out there. And then even adding in connectors for external solutions. So, even though you have a SuiteCommerce site, you still want to keep stuff on Amazon shopping. We want a connector for that to bring that in, so that ShipHawk can get that information as well.
Yeah. Anthony, what about you? What keeps you up at night? What are the problems that you think you'll face in the future?
So the connector thing is a huge point for us, because we do sell our e-commerce on our site, SuiteCommerce, but then we call our e-commerce team. We have an e-commerce team. We sell Amazon, Fulfilled by Amazon, eBay, and Etsy. And they fulfill using the same fulfillment strategies that we use for our SuiteCommerce side of it, minus the Amazon, Fulfilled by Amazon. So that has been huge. That was kind of a pain point of ours. NetSuite took that connector, outside connector, and now it's a part of NetSuite connector, and now it's inside with there. Something Barry may not have mentioned that's also big part of the infrastructure of NetSuite. Our website resided in a server house that was outside of the NetSuite family, and they rented space in these, and now NetSuite is building these huge server houses that are state of the art, that are running faster, running smoother. And now that NetSuite has those, they're able to give you real-time information of what may have gone wrong, what's going on. And so now our server lives within inside of that. Our website lives within a server that's within their immediate control. So if there's a fire there, we know what happened, why it happened, and they can push that somewhere else. They can relocate our server faster so that our customers can be back on board. So that was a huge thing for us, since we did reside in the February thing that came up, but it's not a problem anymore. And I know that they're trying to get everybody integrated into their, I can't remember what the name of the server house is, what you guys are calling them at the moment. Barry, if you want to.
For that. So yeah, all of NetSuite is being moved to OCI, which is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. That's going to give you all the stuff Anthony mentioned. I've had scenarios in the past where customers had reached out and said, hey, I have a social media influencer that's about to post something about us. We're expecting millions of hits. Can we ramp up, the performance here? So that's all stuff that's going to be feasible now that we're moving to OCI. And a lot of customers have already moved.
Yep. So we are there and we enjoy living there. We may not really, the customer may not feel it on the end, but I can tell you when our website was down for a few days, they felt it. But some of the other things that have kind of been really great that's not keeping us up overnight, and then into what does keep us up. We've talked about our business being pretty unique in the products that we offer. And so calculating that rate properly to obscure sizes of products going back and forth is one thing that we continue to try to help grow on. Doesn't really keep us up at night because we have better offerings to push to ShipHawk to make it easier. And the data that we get is pretty quick, that we can come in the next day and look at it. And we're looking at it every day to make sure that we can adjust what we need to for the customer sooner, so that we can fix those shipping problems right away. One of the things is kind of keeping us up is cows come in many different shapes and sizes, and you may have a side of a cow that's 25.3 square feet. That's not something that fractional quantity is one of those things. It causes a pinch point right now between NetSuite and ShipHawk. So we adjust our inventory and we won't send a fractional quantity to ShipHawk, and we just adjust it on our side. And we're not sending those fractional quantities to it, because that's something that we're still trying to figure out how to better utilize that from a front facing standpoint. Our biggest hurdle is to educate the customer that shipping costs something. It costs everybody something. The price of gas goes up all the time. The cost of wages is going up all the time. Everybody wants their cut of something, and shipping costs something, whether it's free and it's rolled into my item price, and now you have no idea what you're getting charged for shipping, or it's just separate. And you got to understand that whenever a flat rate priority envelope from USPS goes up from a price of $8.50, I didn't do that. And educating the customer about where that come from, and being able to pass that stuff to them and be able to educate them when the little widget loads on the shopping cart. Maybe instead of a spinning wheel, we put getting you real-time rates, and that loads in, and now they go, okay, I'm getting a real-time rate. And then you call the post office, you're like, hey, how much would it cost us ship a 15-pound box from here to there? And they call them, they go, okay, well, it's within reason. Springfield Leather is not trying to cheat me on something. So I hope you wrote that down in the bash, so we can change that little loader to say something different. I don't know if it's an option. I haven't looked at it. I just was sitting here thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely.
This is how my brain works.
Yeah, so the right expectation is, that it's all about, education, making sure, right expectations are set. We're spending about, we've seen businesses spend about maybe like 15 to 20% of their revenue in shipping. So it definitely costs something. And managing that is definitely a challenge.
Yeah, and on the other side of it, with a B2B type of scenario within inside of ShipHawk, no, with inside of NetSuite in your account manager that you have that's there, you can set up invoices, you can set up estimates, and then you put that shipping on that estimate, you put it on that invoice, and now a business can go in and they log into your account the same way as a normal customer would, and all that information is there. And I've leveraged ShipHawk on the UI part of NetSuite to pass them that same shipping information and calculate it the best for the customer and also the best for Springfield Leather.
Definitely. So what I heard was, omni-channel, managing many different channels and setting the same expectation over all of those is definitely a challenge. Making sure your systems are up, you're not, there's no downtime and there's no negative customer experience is definitely an issue. In those fronts, we're also very aware of, we keep adding more systems to support more things. So, adding more integrations, being up to date with all of these systems is also something ShipHawk is thinking about on our end. You mentioned downtime. One of our 2023 goal was to scale our architecture to 5x, meaning, anytime there's an event like Cyber Monday or, Black Friday or something like that, our servers are able to handle at least 5 times the volume immediately. So we're like, making investments in those things as well. You mentioned fractional quantity. That's something we still haven't been able to support yet properly, because fulfilling that is not just about the shipping, but also going back and talking to NetSuite to make sure the inventory is right after shipping. So the fractional quantity piece, we still haven't been able to support that, but we'll definitely look into it and see what we can do in the near future there. But thank you for sharing all that experience. And not everything is there. We're still working through a few things.
Yeah, and I would say that's probably not a normal business thing. I don't think you can sell a half a tube of chapstick. Maybe you can, and I just don't realize that you can. I usually have to buy a full stick of chapstick.
Yeah,
So we've talked with your developers, and we've talked with Allison, and getting in contact and pushing it along. And it's not like it's not going anywhere. The talks are happening, and trying to figure out. It's something that is just different. It causes us other issues with inside of the NetSuite umbrella as well. So it's just, our business is a little bit different, and there's just those little bit of things. And so one of the things that can be done for is the small customizations here and there inside of NetSuite to fit our needs with inside of what they have going on, and being able to push that to ShipHawk, and knowing the processes that we have to take and just write them down and make our SOPs for our business to be able to use them properly.
Yeah, it's a partnership, and it's a longer term partnership. So we'll continue making improvements. We'll continue, as NetSuite does too. We keep looking at the market, see where it evolves, and continue adding functionalities. Definitely. So I think we're almost out of time. I want to take a few minutes right at the end to see if you have any advice, Anthony, from your perspective. There's a lot of e-commerce is still booming, especially B2B side is booming a lot these days. If you had like 1 or 2 advice for aspiring business owners, e-commerce business owners, what would that be?
Well, I have a response also from our IT person, so I'll just read kind of what he has written, and then I'll speak upon it. So get the solutions that make it easy. Starting a business is hard. Growing a business is hard. Hiring people with the knowledge and experience to make your business succeed is hard and also costly. So go with the providers that are going to make it easy for you. That work is going to provide you good support for things when things do go wrong or things do change. And my advice would be, is you're not going to know it all. You're just not. I work in digital media, and I know a lot of the Adobe Creative Suite, but I don't know everything about every single thing that's offered inside of the Adobe Creative Suite. I don't know is a perfectly acceptable answer. It's not a sign of weakness. You might know somebody that has the answer to your I don't know. So put yourself in line with those people to help you grow your business, to set you up for your successes. I don't see that this partnership with ShipHawk or NetSuite or even SuiteCommerce is going to go anywhere. And even if we move to Shopify as an e-commerce platform, our ERP is still going to live inside of NetSuite and connects easily with the two of them. So you can have your customizable things. There's great developers that are out there that would take your theme, make you your own theme inside of SuiteCommerce that would look like the Shopify, and also leverage some of the other tools that you're not going to get out of the box with a different e-commerce platform.
Yeah, surrounding yourself with people who know more than you, or sharing that knowledge, I think that's definitely a generally good advice, not just for e-commerce business.
Yeah, there's a few ways that you can learn, and I think we've all done it. You can learn by your mistakes. You can learn by others' mistakes. You can learn by your successes or other people's successes, and take that and put that into your life at any point that it is. And just understand that, man, humility can be very humbling at times. And also maybe the other way around, not being humble can humble you at times.
Definitely, that's great advice. Barry, any advice from your end for aspiring e-commerce business owners?
You said about make it easy. Like, you don't need to do everything at once. We have a within SuiteCommerce, we always talk about a phased approach. What do you need on go live day one? Get that site up and going so you can start seeing that revenue stream come in immediately. And then from there, you can start to add on to it. You can start to add in extensions, build customizations, things like that. Even add in, maybe start B2C, then bring in B2B or vice versa. You don't have to do it all at once. Ease into it, get that site up, and start seeing the revenue come in.
Yeah, definitely. Taking phased approaches, not trying to bite everything all at once, is definitely a good idea. From my end, I just want to share one perspective. Start tracking things and data. That's what I would say. When I talk to a lot of our customers, we ran a big survey earlier this year, and we said, hey, what are the metrics that are most important to you? What do you measure? And a lot of our customers said they don't even know. They don't even measure some things. So I think being aware and measuring things, tracking things, how long is it taking to fulfill something? How long is it taking to pick, pack, ship? How much did you spend in shipping last year? How much did you spend in labor cost last year? All of those things, being aware of that data and tracking the trends of that data with the industry is super important. And that helps you inform decisions like, how much should I invest in systems or people or anything else? I think that's really important. Kelly, I want to hand it over to you. Maybe we can have a couple of minutes for questions if there's any. And definitely we can also get back to our attendees after the webinar as well. We don't have to answer all of those questions right now. If there's any, let's take a look at Q&A.
Yeah, it looks like I think y'all kind of answered most of those as they were coming in. Anthony, I think you saw the one somebody was asking about, any kind of rules you can set up. So I think you touched on that. But yeah, if y'all do have any questions, I know we're at the top of the hour, please feel free to send those in. And so one person was asking a little bit about the B2B and B2C site. And I think we touched on this. Do you do that? And do you have do you do everything with one SuiteCommerce site for B2B and B2C, or are those separate?
Yeah, so we do everything inside of our one SuiteCommerce site, and we do it with price levels. Some of them are forward facing, and some of those price levels are not forward facing. And so they may not shop on the website. And that's when we send out either an estimate, which can be paid, or we'll send an invoice that can just be paid from there. But the staged approach, I want to touch on something there, because we're actually doing an implementation now where we're implementing a loyalty and rewards program. And that has emails that go out, and we can take that data that ShipHawk has and says, here's our average delivery time from item fulfillment to delivery date. And now we can set a point to where that email to ask for a review or put loyalty on things is being leveraged with what the shipping takes place. So we are making new integrations since being in SuiteCommerce standards since 2018.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exciting. And we've got one other question that just came in, asking about integrating tracking information into the My Account feature. I'm sure Nabesh or Barry, if y'all want to take that one.
So some of it I can answer a little bit on how we use it, maybe not in the My Account part, but we send out the tracking email that comes from NetSuite that has it inside of their email, or we can use the ShipHawk one, which is a little more visibly pleasing because it includes a map on it that's easily usable for us. It was less work for us to put it together.
Perfect. Yeah, I think
I'll just add quickly
yeah,
within
go
My
ahead.
Account, when you are viewing your order history, the tracking number will show up once it's tagged. So once ShipHawk does put the tracking number on the order, it will show up in My Account. So you should be able to click on it from there.
Awesome. Anyone have any other questions? I know we're at the top of the hour, so thank y'all for sticking around. I think we've answered everything that's come in. But I did mention earlier that if you do have any other questions, feel free to email us at learnmore@shiphawk.com. And if you have any questions specifically for Barry, Nabesh, Anthony, for any of our hosts, we can sort those, get this to the right person, and certainly get those answered for you. So thank you all for joining us. Nabesh, Anthony, Barry, I really appreciate all of your insight and taking the time to share it with everyone today. And I think we all got lots of good information.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anthony, Barry.
Yeah, y'all have a
Awesome.
great rest of your day.
Yeah, you guys too. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.